Okay, so what's up, residents of the Mice Clan? Mr. Ashamed to Be here is here. Today we're coming back with part 1 remastered of What If Goku Had a Harem. Originally, this was a non-sexual version of the concept I did back in a contest where I did my own version of any what if you gave me on the spot, and I posted it somewhere, either on my main or side channels. That specific what if was requested by XL Kaze XL, who is currently in the chat with me, but you can't hear him because my desktop audio is off. So yeah, he originally requested it, we originally did it, and today I'm coming back with a better, more refined, and I will continue version of it. So let's try and get to 10k views to piss off gratify. So without further ado, let's get into What If Goku Had a Harem. So we start off with the start of Dragon Ball, where Bulma would show up and originally try to seduce Goku. As a tribute to the original, this is not gonna work. Actually, I'm not gonna do that this time around, so I'm gonna just push it off. But this time, Goku does know what she's trying to do, and he points out that his grandfather told him that this is a holy act that should not be done with anyone that does not suit the requirements, which will be expanded upon later. So we'd start off with Goku already being more knowledgeable, a little more taught in this way, because I'm gonna say Grandpa Gohan was a little more of a pervert, but knew when to stop it. So respect to Gramps. So the adventure would originally start out, but Goku would go along to try and revive his grandpa this time, because if he can grant any wish, he could bring back his grandpa. And I'm gonna say Bulma this time would have an infatuation with Goku. She'd let him come with, knowing his intention, but wouldn't say anything with it right away. As their journeys progress, most of Dragon Ball would go to canon up until just before they met Yamcha. Just before they met Yamcha, I'ma say there was like a night where they were camping out and Goku was just sitting up looking at the stars. Obviously not a full moon, so we don't have to worry about a transformation. He will look to the sky, and then as soon as the moon broke through, he would look at the ground. Bulma would ask him why he's looking at the ground all of a sudden, as she's been constantly staring at him for the last while. And Goku would say, "The last time I saw my grandpa was when I looked up at the moon." Thus, I think that my grandpa wouldn't want me to do that ever again, because of reasons, Goku would say. This would have Bulma question what's going on with Goku. As she pushed, Goku would let some tears drip and say that he's pretty sure it's his fault that his grandpa died. All he remembers was looking up at the moon. And when he came to, his grandpa was dead right in front of him. So, after letting tears fall and crying into Bulma's shoulder, she would feel more attracted to Goku, as if he trusted her enough to tell her all this. So maybe she should push back these feelings and give him all her trust. She would tell him that she liked him and actually would proceed to kiss him, and some, censored shit would happen, which I'm not gonna get into because I'm not a pervert. If you're a pervert, that's your problem. Use your imagination. Uh, Long story short, he knocks her up. We're gonna move on to the next scene where they meet Yamcha, and for now, I'ma say stuff is gonna go normal. Around the time Goku would split off from them, Bulma would realize some changes like morning sickness, cravings, things like that. But Goku would now start his training with Master Roshi. So in the time he's training with Master Roshi, a few months has gone by, and Bulma would approach him at Kami House and explain to him that she's pregnant. Goku, knowing that this is a really bad place for a child to be in, uh, it's like a really bad world. There are a lot going wrong, things like the Red Ribbon Army, because I'm making Goku a lot smarter in general. So he'd know about the Red Ribbon Army, and he'd have this conquest. He'd be like, I need to make sure that the world is a better place, because if there's a child, even though I was responsible, this is on me. I need to be responsible and stop being irresponsible. I need to push through and make the world a better place. This would motivate Goku's training to a whole nother level. I'm gonna say he's gonna cut off 3 or 4 months off of what he originally would have and done everything Master Roshi had him to learn. And Master Roshi would give him a few more exercises that he could, and Goku would be off. His power level would be around 100, which is already higher than it was even at the King Piccolo fight, because Goku had something to strive towards. And as Dragon Ball has shown us time and time again, if you have something to achieve, you have more power to push out. At this point, Goku needs to go on his own adventures and find his own ways to get stronger. Bulma is about 4 months pregnant at this point, just mind you, and Goku knows that he has another 5 months to train. He would push up Korin's tower and start his training there. Korin would happily give Goku the Ultra Divine Water, which is a 1.5 time multiplier, so Goku's power level would be up to 150 already, and he'd start training with Korin. Sometime within this 5-month period of training with Korin, he'd go down for the martial arts tournament, where he'd face off against Roshi, and Roshi would actually be needing to resort to his buff form to actually combat Goku, because he does want to give Goku that push, being like, you need to get stronger. There will always be someone stronger than you. And this is when Goku, because he's been learning ki from Korin, would know that Roshi is actually straight up 10 times stronger. He points this out. He says, you got 10 times stronger. And Roshi would say, well, that means I'll beat you. And Goku would say, yes, it would. But as a wise man once said, when you know your fight is over, step out of the ring and come back to fight another day. And this is a quote in this one he'd hear from Roshi. So he'd step out of the ring, basically forfeiting, and he'd say, that doesn't mean I don't want to spar. I want to meet you after this again. We will fight again at the next tournament. I will come back stronger than you. Roshi would smile to his students' wise words and then leave the field as Jackie Chun, because it's not Roshi, it's Jackie Chun. And this is also when Roshi would have the interesting development that his buff form is a 10 times multiplier, which will be a lot useful down the line. He'd note that if he knew this, he could have helped his master defeat Demon King Piccolo. Obviously, talking about the great Motohita. So, Goku would push back to Korin's tower to complete his training there, and would at some point go up to Kami, using the power pole to reconnect the lookout to the tower, to basically make the lookout come out of the other world, where it kind of was but kind of wasn't, and be reattached to Earth. So at this point, Kami would be interested in Goku, saying that he's one of the strongest beings, and I'd say Goku would have gotten another ki boost, having constant Zenkais going up the tower, even though I gave him an estimated power at that point. But learning ki, which is a great development for anyone, actually training, fighting against, and seeing an opponent you want to reach, I'm going to give Goku a generous amount of power, which is 200. At this point, he could probably one-shot King Piccolo, mind you. So, down on the world, some other stuff has happened. Bulma is basically giving birth, and Goku would note this to Kami. He'd say that the person he is seeing is having a baby and he needs to be there. He is sorry, but he will come back one of these days. Kami, with a great smile and open arms, would accept this. Goku would return and thus have a baby with Bulma, which would be appropriately, due to Bulma, be called Trunks. Goku wanted to name him Gohan after his great-grandpa, but they decided that would be the next child or whatever, because Bulma wanted to keep it in the family and call him Trunks. So yes, Trunks is going to be born early. But also around this time is when King Piccolo would be awakened. Or early awakened, because this is a lot earlier than in canon. The timeline is really jumbled up. This is around the time the original Dragon Balls would have been assembled for the wish for the underwear, obviously. So Goku would be attacked in an entirely different way. He still has his Dragon Balls, and Bulma has some of the other Dragon Balls. They haven't scattered yet. So Demon King Piccolo and a bunch of his children would approach Goku to try and get it off the bat. Kami would telepathically tell Goku he is strong enough to take on Piccolo and that he must kill him. After that, he must come up to the lookout and seek training from Mr. Popo. Goku would accept this and basically fight off this demon to be able to make sure his wife and soon-to-be child are safe, or his already born child or recently born child will be safe. They had been living in Capsule Corp the last few weeks, and he'd gotten to know people like Dr. Briefs and his wife, and even Bulma's sister, and just some of the local workers, and this really feels like a family to Goku, something he's never really experienced outside of Grandpa Gohan, so he's kind of happy to be here. He would fight with King Piccolo, and the only reason King Piccolo is keeping up with Goku is because of his harsh fighting style, and Goku is keeping up with not only King Piccolo, but 4 of his children in this case. And seeing as King Piccolo sees he's about to die, and Goku had just killed 2 of his children, he tells 2 of his kids to keep him busy. King Piccolo would start running, and Goku would soon follow suit. As King Piccolo sees that Goku is probably gonna kill him, he dives into the trees, spitting out one last egg, and then just slingshotting himself upwards, trying to kill Goku in the process. He self-destructs. Kami is confused. Piccolo is dead, yet he's alive. Maybe it has something to do with a self-sacrifice. Maybe that's why Kami isn't dead. It's a good thing he didn't try that. He could have killed himself. Goku would spend some more time with his wife and newly born child when Kami would discover Piccolo Jr. He would not go near him, for this time King Piccolo, instead of having the little ki after the long fought battle, would have most of his ki retained and be able to push out a more powerful egg. Goku knowing, or Kami figuring this, would tell Goku that he needs to train and train now. Goku would tell Bulma that he'd be here every weekend to make sure that she's okay, but otherwise he needs to go train. He'd use the Nimbus to return to the lookout to train with Kami. Kami would at first have him go through minor exercises like perfect ki control, which is to make sure ki blasts, control over ki waves, like manipulating the direction and other things, and also things like flight, because that is going to be an important aspect, as Piccolo did use it and Goku was seen at a disadvantage, but due to the Nimbus he was able to keep up. And Kami really saw that Goku struggles against savage fighters, so his intuition needs to be worked on a lot. Even though Goku is extremely talented, he's also extremely cocky, but he's more powerful than Kami is, so Goku has the collective thought of if Kami was younger, he'd be a better training partner. So Goku at this point would consider specifically Kami his master. But they're missing one Dragon Ball, and Goku would decide to take it, or try and get it. This specific Dragon Ball was under Uranai Baba, Roshi's sister, and Goku would be forced to fight all of her fighters to receive the last Dragon Ball. Goku, this time alone, would work through her fighters and eventually make his way to Grandpa Gohan, who would tell him he doesn't wish to be revived because Goku did want to do it, but he wasn't sure. Now that he knows his grandpa wants to live on in peace, would make the wish he was planning on making, and knows the world might need. He wished that his masters had retained their youths, for they are the Earth's greatest warriors other than himself. His masters referring to both Kami and Roshi, 2 people he sees as his masters, indirectly having Gohan also gain his youth in the afterlife. Obviously, Gohan would see this as a great benefit to him, so would Roshi and Kami. Gohan would continue his training in the afterlife, and Goku his life among mortals. But that's going to be it, guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. If you want to see the next part, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. I know y'all can do it. Let's pop it. Peace.